Let me tell you something. If you're looking for a quick path to riches, you're already in trouble. I've been around long enough to see the pattern. People chasing fast money, thinking they've found the golden ticket, only to watch it all slip away. The thing is, getting rich is easy in theory, but in practice, it's about avoiding the most obvious mistakes. And the biggest mistake you can make, trying to get rich quickly. The desire for instant wealth is so common, and yet it's the one thing that guarantees you'll lose everything in the long run. I've seen it time and time again. People who get lucky in the short term, but fail to stick around long enough to see their wealth grow sustainably. It's all about playing the long game. The first step in building real wealth is realizing that there is no shortcut. There are no get-rich-quick schemes that work over the long haul. The flashy stock tip, the hot cryptocurrency, the latest market trend, all these things are distractions. The real game is slow and steady. It's about making small, intelligent decisions over time, and then having the patience to watch those decisions compound into something substantial. You won't get rich overnight, but you will build something that lasts. Most people are looking for a shortcut. They hear a success story, and they want to replicate it. Maybe they're chasing the next big stock or the latest real estate deal. The problem is they don't understand the risks. They jump in with both feet, believing they can replicate the success without realizing how much luck played a part in it. When the market turns, or when they get hit with an unexpected loss, that's when reality sets in. They lose everything they've made, and often more. But here's the trick. They never needed to take those big risks in the first place. They were just too impatient. I can't stress this enough. The real wealth is built by avoiding the urge to act impulsively, by resisting the temptation to jump on the latest trend. The real money is made in the waiting, not in buying and selling constantly. The best investors, the ones who get it right, aren't those who can pick the right stock at the right time. They're the ones who buy solid investments, hold on to them, and let the compound interest do the work for them. That's where the magic is, compounding. But it only works if you give it time, and time doesn't come if you're too impatient. Now, I know what you're thinking, but what about those who made millions by jumping on the latest thing? Sure, it happens, but those are the exceptions, not the rule. The vast majority of people who take big risks end up worse off. They make a lot of money quickly, but they lose it just as fast. The ones who make it in the long run are those who play it safe, those who avoid the big swings, and instead focus on steady, reliable growth. It's not exciting, it's not flashy, but it works. And when you look back after decades, you'll see that the steady approach paid off. I've always said that the big money isn't in the buying and selling. It's in the waiting. You see, most people think that to get ahead, they need to be constantly on the move, making trades, switching investments, and jumping from one hot thing to the next. But here's the reality. That's not how wealth is built. Wealth is built by being patient. Wealth is built by finding the right opportunities, making those investments, and then letting them grow. The longer you stay in the game, the more your wealth compounds. It's that simple. And yet so many people miss this fundamental truth. The key here is discipline. It's about sticking to your plan, no matter how tempting the shortcuts may seem. It's easy to get distracted. You see people making big money, and you think, why can't I do that? But the truth is, you don't need to make big money quickly. What you need is to make small, smart decisions over time. Those decisions add up, they compound, and one day you'll look up and realize that all that patience, all that discipline has built something far more valuable than any quick bet ever could. So let me be clear. The path to real wealth is simple, but it's not easy. It requires patience, persistence, and a willingness to make the right choices, even when those choices don't seem as exciting as the next big thing. The people who build lasting wealth are the ones who can resist the urge to act impulsively, the ones who can sit back and let time do its work. They understand that wealth isn't about making huge leaps forward in the short term. It's about making steady, intelligent decisions and letting those decisions compound over time. I'm sure you've heard the saying, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. Well, the same holds true for wealth. Building, you don't need to go looking for the next big thing. You see, there's a common misconception that getting rich is about brilliance. It's not. What really makes the difference in the long run is avoiding stupidity. That's the key to accumulating wealth. Not being a genius, but steering clear of the kind of mistakes that send people to the poorhouse. And the biggest mistake, impatience. Everyone wants to get rich fast, but that's the oldest trap in the world. Take a look around. People are always looking for the next shortcut to wealth. They'll chase stocks, bonds, real estate, anything that promises quick gains. The thing is, quick riches often come with a kind of risk you don't want any part of. Sure, you can make a quick buck here and there, but sooner or later that luck will run out. And what's worse, when you try to get rich quickly, you end up paying the price in the form of stress, poor decisions, and ultimately lost money. This is the heart of the problem. People just aren't patient. We all want to believe there's a shortcut to success, but there's no real shortcut to wealth. Getting rich doesn't happen in a flash. It happens slowly over time, with good decisions made consistently. If you think you can find a shortcut, you're just fooling yourself. Now, I know people who have made millions by betting big on things. They don't really understand things like hot stocks or high-risk real estate deals. They were lucky, but most people aren't that lucky. And what they don't realize is that all the wealth they've gained, it's really just a gamble when you're impatient. You start taking risks that aren't justified, and that's where the trouble starts. Think of it this way. People are always trying to get rich with big moves, big risks. But if you make enough small, smart decisions over time, you'll end up ahead. Slow, steady, and smart beats fast and risky every time. What I'm trying to say is that you don't need to take those big risks to make money. You need to make small decisions, the right decisions, and let those compound over time. And when those small decisions accumulate, they become something significant. But if you're only looking for a fast way to the top, you'll end up disappointed. People underestimate the power of compounding, compound interest, or more broadly, the compounding of smart decisions, is the true wealth builder. It's how small incremental gains can turn into something massive. But it only works if you give it time. You don't see compounding work in the first few months, or even the first few years. It's a gradual process, but the results speak for themselves. I often say that the big money isn't in buying and selling. It's in waiting. And I mean that. When you make a decision to invest, you have to have the patience to let that investment grow over time. It doesn't matter if it's a stock, a piece of property, or even a business. It all takes time. And if you're in too much of a hurry to see results, you're going to miss out on the true benefits. If you look at the great investors, Warren Buffett, for example, you'll see that they made their fortunes by making long-term investments in strong businesses and letting them grow. They didn't try to time the market. They didn't jump into the latest hot trend. Instead, they made investments that they knew would pay off over decades, and they held on to them. They understood that patience is not only a virtue, it's a wealth-building strategy now. Let me be clear. I'm not saying you should sit on your hands and wait forever. But I am saying that it's the steady, patient approach that works in the long run. Too many people get caught up in the idea of hitting it big, of finding that one investment that's going to make them rich. But the truth is, it's not the big moves that get you ahead. It's the small, smart ones made consistently over time. I'll tell you this. Most of the financial ruin I've seen in my career comes from impatience. People chasing after fast money, gambling on risky deals, and making impulsive decisions. They believe they're going to strike it rich quickly, but instead, they lose everything. It's the same story every time. They hear about a hot stock, a new business venture, or some investment opportunity that promises big returns, and they jump in without fully understanding the risks. They've got that urgency, that impatience. They want to see results now, but when those results don't come, they panic. They start to make worse decisions chasing after the next hot tip, trying to recoup their losses, and before long they've dug themselves into a hole they can't get out of. The reason this happens is simple. Impatience clouds your judgment. When you're desperate for a quick return, you don't take the time to do the research, to understand what you're getting into. You just act, and that's when mistakes are made, big mistakes. You get caught up in the excitement of the moment, and you forget about the long-term consequences. You can't let impatience take control of your decisions. If you want to build real wealth, you've got to resist the temptation to act hastily. You've got to be willing to wait for the right opportunities and then act decisively when they come. But you can't rush it. Look, I've been in this business a long time, and I've seen it all. I've seen people make millions, and I've seen them lose it all. The difference between the two isn't brilliance, it's patience. The people who build lasting wealth understand that they're in it for the long haul. They don't get distracted by the latest trends or the promises of fast money. Instead, they focus on making good decisions over time, and they let their wealth grow slowly but surely. Wealth isn't about brilliance, it's about avoiding stupidity. And the biggest stupidity of all, impatience. If you want to get rich, don't focus on finding the fastest route. Focus on making smart, disciplined decisions and give those decisions time to work. That's the real key to wealth building. And if you can do that, you'll be ahead of the game. Most people believe that getting rich is about making big, bold moves. They think it's about the brilliant idea, the hot tip, or the once in a lifetime opportunity. But that's not how it works. The truth is, wealth is built slowly over time through small, smart decisions. And it's about avoiding the kind of mistakes that can send you back to square one. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not about being a genius or having some kind of exceptional insight. It's about knowing what you shouldn't do, avoiding the obvious pitfalls, and letting time do its thing. The reality is, most people fail not because they're stupid, but because they're impatient. They want to make their money fast, and that's exactly what leads to their downfall. If you're looking to get rich quickly, chances are you'll end up losing everything you've got. I've seen it happen countless times in my career. People get drawn into the idea of a quick, easy win, and it blinds them to the risks and the realities of what's actually going on. It's easy to get excited about the possibility of making a fortune overnight, but it's the slow and steady path that really works. There's a reason why so many people fall into the trap of impatience. We live in a world that rewards fast results. Whether it's instant food delivery, on-demand entertainment, or rapid-fire social media updates, we've come to expect everything now, so it's only natural that this mindset carries over into our financial decisions. Everyone wants to be rich, and they want it right now. The problem is that the more you chase after the quick fix, the more likely you are to make rash decisions. You see, the quickest way to get rich is to take huge risks. People think they can make a fortune by jumping into something speculative, something that promises big returns in a short time. But what they don't realize is that this kind of approach almost always leads to failure. It's not sustainable. And even if you get lucky once, you won't keep your wealth for long if you don't understand the fundamentals. In fact, the ones who try to take shortcuts or gamble on the next big thing often end up losing more than they ever gained. You don't build wealth by being impulsive. You build it by being deliberate, by making the right decisions and sticking with them. It's not about betting everything on a risky stock or putting all your money into a single investment. It's about making small, steady decisions that add up over time. You do that consistently, and you'll see your wealth grow, even if it's slow at first. The key is patience. The key is discipline. The key is knowing that real wealth doesn't come from jumping in and out of opportunities. It comes from sitting still and letting your money work for you. Most people get caught up in the idea that there's a shortcut to financial freedom. They see someone make a huge return on an investment, and suddenly they think that's the way to go. They want to replicate that success. But here's the thing. It's not about the quick wins. It's about the long-term play. The ones who succeed in this game are the ones who know how to wait. They're the ones who understand that wealth isn't something that happens overnight. It's something that grows slowly, steadily, with time. And here's the catch. If you're impatient, you'll miss it. You'll get too eager, too anxious to see results, and you'll jump into the wrong things at the wrong time. Now, I'll tell you something else. The people who get rich fast often lose it just as quickly. It's a vicious cycle. They make big bets, and sometimes they win. They see the rewards and get hooked on the rush. But what they fail to realize is that it's not the winning. That's the problem. It's the losing. And when the inevitable loss comes, it's bigger than they ever imagined. I've seen it happen time and time again. People take huge risks because they're chasing after the next big thing. They get lucky, maybe once or twice, but then When the luck runs out, they're left with nothing. They've lost all the money they gained, plus more. You see, wealth is not just about making the right moves, it's about avoiding the wrong ones. The biggest mistake you can make is to act out of impatience. You can't rush it, you can't force it. It doesn't work that way. The people who make their wealth slowly understand that they know that. While getting rich quickly is tempting, it's not sustainable. And when you build your wealth slowly, you're in it for the long haul. You know how to weather the ups and downs. You don't get shaken when the market fluctuates. You just keep on going, making the right decisions, and letting things grow. Patience is the cornerstone of building lasting wealth. It's about making decisions that you're confident in, sticking to them, and letting time turn those decisions into something substantial. The secret to wealth is not in trying to get rich fast. The secret is in understanding that getting rich slowly and consistently is the way to build real, lasting wealth. It's not glamorous, but it works. If you want to win the game, you have to play it with patience. And the sooner you understand that, the sooner you'll start seeing results. The world of wealth building is riddled with temptations, but none are more dangerous than the one thing that is so common in today's society: impatience. People want to get rich fast. They want the shortcut, the instant reward, the sudden windfall that will solve all their problems. And it's that very impatience that leads so many to make decisions that are reckless, impulsive, and ultimately disastrous. People are in such a rush to hit it big that they end up losing everything. You cannot build wealth with this mindset. Patience, discipline, and a long-term view are the keys to success. But so few people understand this. The most insidious part of impatience is that it often masquerades as ambition or drive. People think they're being smart by seeking out quick opportunities, by trying to maximize their returns in the shortest time possible. The problem is, impatience often clouds judgment, and judgment is everything when it comes to wealth building. Impatience leads you to take on risk that you shouldn't, and to make decisions based on fear of missing out rather than logic and reason. In the world of investing, this is particularly dangerous. When people are eager to make quick profits, they chase after what's hot in the market. They invest in speculative stocks, gamble on cryptocurrency, or jump into real estate deals with little research or thought. They get swept up in the excitement, driven by the possibility of quick returns. But when things don't pan out, as they often don't, they find themselves in deep trouble. You can't make good decisions when you're desperate to see results right away. Impatience makes you vulnerable to bad advice, and it makes you prone to taking risks that you wouldn't normally consider. You have to understand that wealth isn't created overnight. It's built slowly, over time, through careful decision making, patience, and consistency. This is something that I've learned over the years. It's not about finding that one big thing that will change your life overnight. It's about sticking with sound investments, doing the necessary work, and letting the money compound over time. Compound interest is one of the most powerful forces in finance, but it only works if you're patient enough to let it. If you're constantly jumping in and out of investments or chasing after the latest trend, you'll never allow your wealth to grow in the way it's meant to. There's a reason why most people who try to get rich quickly end up losing everything. The reason is simple. Fast money comes with huge risks. The quicker you make money, the more likely it is that you're making risky decisions that you wouldn't normally make. Sure, you might get lucky for a while. You might hit it big in the short term, but without the foundation of solid, long-term decisions, that wealth will disappear as quickly as it came. You might have a good run, but eventually the house of cards will come crashing down. I've seen it time and time again. People get lucky with a stock tip or a hot market, and they think they've found the secret to wealth. But when the market turns and the hot trend goes cold, they're left holding the bag. They've lost everything, and they don't even know why it happened. It's because they were too focused on the short term, and they ignored the long-term fundamentals. The only way to build wealth that lasts is to make sound decisions and stick with them for the long haul. The people who have built real wealth are the ones who had the patience to wait for their investments to grow. I've always said that the big money isn't in the buying and selling. It's in the waiting. And I mean that. Most people try to make money by buying and selling in a hurry, by trying to catch the next big wave in the market. But that's not how wealth is made. You don't get rich by jumping from one opportunity to the next. You get rich by identifying good investments, making those investments, and then giving them the time they need to grow. You let the compounding work for you. But here's the catch. It's not easy to be patient. In today's world, where we're bombarded with information and opportunities every minute of the day, it's hard to resist the temptation of quick gains. There's a constant pressure to act fast, to seize the next opportunity, to get ahead of everyone else. But this is exactly the mindset that leads to failure. When you're constantly rushing, when you're desperate to make a move, you make decisions based on emotion rather than logic. And that's when mistakes happen. The biggest mistake you can make in wealth building is to chase quick money. The allure of fast wealth is powerful, but it's fleeting. It's the easy road, but it's also the most dangerous. Sure, you might hit a few wins along the way, but you won't be able to sustain it. The only way to win in the long run is to play the long game. It's not about timing the market or chasing the latest trends. It's about making the right decisions and sticking with them, even when things get tough. Let's be clear about something. You won't get rich by trying to time the market or by betting on high-risk opportunities. You'll get rich by understanding the fundamentals, by identifying investments that make sense, and by holding on to those investments for the long term. That's how wealth is built. But it requires patience. It requires discipline. It requires the ability to resist the temptation to act impulsively. If you can learn to avoid the trap of impatience, you'll find that wealth building becomes much easier. Here's another thing. Impatience isn't just dangerous when it comes to investing. It's dangerous in life too. People are always looking for shortcuts, for ways to get ahead quickly. They want the promotion, the success, the recognition, all of it right now. But the truth is, those who succeed are the ones who put in the work over time. They take the long path, not the shortcut. They build their success steadily, step by step, and they don't get distracted by the desire for instant results. Here's another thing. Impatience isn't just dangerous when it comes to investing. It's dangerous in life too. People are always looking for shortcuts, for ways to get ahead quickly. They want the promotion, the success, the recognition, all of it right now. But the truth is, those who succeed are the ones who put in the work over time. They take the long path, not the shortcut. They build their success steadily, step by step, and they don't get distracted by the desire for instant results. If you want to build real wealth, you've got to embrace patience. It's not about finding the fastest route to success. It's about making smart decisions, staying the course, and allowing time to work its magic. That's where the real power lies. The longer you're in the game, the more opportunities you'll have to make smart choices, to learn from your mistakes, and to watch your wealth grow. Patience is what allows you to stay in the game long enough to see the results, and that's the only way to truly build lasting wealth. In the end, it all boils down to this. You can't build wealth with impatience. You might get lucky a few times, sure, but the odds are stacked against you. Impatience leads to reckless decisions, bad bets, and eventual losses. The real secret to lasting wealth isn't about brilliance or spotting the next big trend. It's about sticking with solid investments and letting them grow. Slow and steady wins the race. And that's not just a clickbait, it's a fundamental truth that I've seen play out time and time again. If you want to build something that lasts, you need to have the patience to wait for things to work. You need to make smart, disciplined decisions, avoid the quick money traps, and let your investments compound over time. The key is to be consistent, to take the long view, and to never lose sight of the fact that real wealth is built slowly, one smart decision at a time. So remember, avoid the temptation of fast riches, stick to what you know, and let time work its magic. That's the formula for real success in this game.